All right. Thank you so much for talking to us about this exciting show.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed your podcast with David, which I tuned into.
So happy that you heard it. It was a lot of fun. So then you probably know the angle of the questions that I'll be asking you. The first one, what were your thoughts, or if you had any thoughts on this topic before you were approached with this project? And then what was your reaction when you found out there was such a rich history to this topic and the military's involvement?
Well, it's weird because I was shocked and not shocked at the same time. I've always felt like there are things going on beneath the scenes. I was raised in a very small little hippie town called Yellow Springs, Ohio, which is home of Antioch University, and it's very famous for being one of the most liberal colleges in the States, and also people have extremely open minds there and are encouraging alternative thought and music and art and everything. So I feel like I was blessed in that I've always kept an open mind about everything. I'll never shut down and just say these are my beliefs. I always believe in being open to changing my opinions. I digress a little bit, but yes, as I said before, I was aware of it, but not as aware of just how vast the numbers were, how many cases were. I mean, it was like some 15 to 20% that fell into the unknown category, and the unknown categories is observers who aren't affected by determinable physical, psychological reports after exhaustive investigation. They would go in and really do that, and the thing is, the further you go down this rabbit hole, I think anybody who does cannot help but question this and actually believe. I know that word's thrown around a lot, but believe to me means believing that it is a legitimate thing that we have not been told about. And I think that we're at a place now as well. I might add that we are almost desensitized to it enough that it wouldn't cause as much of the panic that initially was thought it was going to cause. I don't know if people agree with me on that, but I feel like we're almost ready for a bit more of the disclosure that we've been denied for so many years.
I totally agree. And that's what makes the timing of the show almost perfect, in that I'm sure you're aware, you had this New York Times article that came out about a year ago that the Pentagon did have a secret UFO program after denying having any involvement like that for decades. And so it does seem like the public is ripe for more credible information like this show presents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm ready. I know you are.
Oh, yeah, totally ready. It's exciting, and it's exciting to see all this unfold, and I hope that the show, aids in all of that. But with you saying you had read Ruppelt's book, what's great, I found this great quote from Hynek about being resentful about the Air Force's negative and unyielding attitude towards the UFO topic. And it seems that, your character really encapsulates that aspect, that feeling of the Air Force. Do you feel like, was that a goal of yours to kind of project that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from an actor's standpoint, the one of the most important things for me is we need to believe this guy has been to the war, has killed people and seen his friends be killed, and understands the chain of command. And it's almost just, boom, second nature. And so I spent a lot of time working on the nonverbals, getting a snappy salute, understanding what it means when you're speaking to certain officials and the gravitas of all that. And that was a very important thing to me. And I also want to add that it's important we don't portray or paint the Air Force as villains here. This has always been in an effort to protect the people, although it's been skewed over time and become more and more corrupt. But I think Quinn very much represents the innocence of that as well. and that's important to portray.
I think that's a really good point in that there's been a lack of sympathy, I think, for the position that they've been put on. It's a weird topic, and they have to investigate and speak to it, and that's not an easy thing to do while dealing with the public. And, you know, I guess what has been your approach to that, to try to, you know, represent the Air Force fairly, but at the same time also be part of, you know, your character part of this cover-up?
Yeah, well, you know, they were told to only answer direct questions from press, the bare facts about what was reported, and any information that was collated afterwards was not released. And that's kind of an important point, is that they said their pieces to the press, and then they did their breakdowns later. And you know, as much as as you're aware, the declassified papers were released afterwards, and they were doctored as well. Some information was redacted, and you look at the NSA documents, and you can read like 6 lines on some of the pages, and they're all blotted out.
Right.
But this was all part of the control of information to the masses, which is something we're still undergoing now. The brilliant thing about doing this show now is that we're so aware of that entire scheme now. And I think if there's anything we can gain from this current turbulent time, it's that the public is now becoming more aware of the controversy and questioning what they're being fed. And that's so important. And I hope that our show can show just how that started. And I feel like, you know, Sean and David always say this was the original fake news campaign or whatever, which you know, it's topical. And I think people, even younger people, will be able to connect with that aspect of it and see how the Air Force was doing that at that time.
Great. Thank you. I think all this thoughtfulness and intelligence is really coming out in the show, and is making it a much more rich and fascinating program.
Great to hear, man. Thanks for your interest.
History's done something unique in that this project's a little bit unique. It's history, but it's sort of a hidden history. But it's wonderful that History Channel has been posting these articles about these cases, information people most likely are not aware of. Has that been helpful to you as well?
It's funny because now everything they post I know about, because I've been doing my own research. However, I feel like so many people don't, and I really, really appreciate this show being on history because of that exact reason. It's a real blessing. I know a lot of my peers grew up in the same way I did, where you're more interested in so many other things, and I'm hoping that this will open people's minds and allow them to get interested in something that isn't being told. I mean, history also, not History Channel, but history in general is told by the victors. And it's all been about what do we want the public to know? What do we want them to feel about our country and themselves? And once you start dipping in and doing your own research, you realize that history's often cut corners. I mean, I find it fascinating that there's these theories about the pyramid. I watched The Pyramid Code, which is a really fantastic series. There's a couple moments where you're like, really? But at the same time, it allows you to question. And, you know, this whole thing, if we do get some kind of disclosure, has the potential to topple our understanding about history and the time frame with which things are happening even as well, which is what a crazy thing to be involved in. I'm expecting to be lobotomized soon.
Speaking of the information in your brain, and I guess a unique perspective that you have now, kind of playing this character, putting yourself in Quinn's shoes, you know, is there a way for all of this to be reconciled? Is there a way to get information to the public, do you believe, on this topic without ridiculing it, and at the same time the Air Force and other government agencies who have been looking into this kind of saving face by denying this in the past and not sharing information in the past?
Well, I mean, fuck, you hit the nail on the head right there. I think that is one of the biggest questions that everybody's having. What is going to be the result? And it's the unknown, and we don't know. I mean, as far as, and I'm no expert on this, and that question, I would love to hear some people's answers, because that's the question I've been asking too, is like, how would they do this in a graceful way that doesn't completely incriminate them? But I think it would have to, I mean, just thinking off the cuff, it would have to be done in a way of going, yes, we have been hiding this stuff from you because of this, you know, because we wanted to protect you before, you know, because, I mean, I think they probably do know what some of these things are about, but I think they still don't. I think there's only so much we know here on Earth, regardless of your position, your clearance, or anything, because it is the unknown. There's all these theories about what these things are and how they can travel so fast, and we look at everything from our own from our own minuscule perspective of science that we've learned over the years. But we can look out into the stars and see all these other planets and the magic that happens out there. And how can we ever know any other intelligent race out there, how they would have adapted and evolved? I mean, life can form under the most extreme conditions, you know, bacteria, whatever. And who's to say that there is not life on these planets that we deem inhabitable on our own terms?
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you for that answer. I'm sure you and the cast have had and crew have had some incredible conversations.
Oh, yeah, definitely.